computer bought by the Public Health Region that's no longer working. So I contacted our regional coordinator, and she said I could purchase it with local grant funds, emergency preparedness funds, and at the end of the year, if there's money back, they'll pay me out of the regional funds. Is it okay if I do that? It's about $550 some, and it's through Randy Clark.
Get a trade in?
No. If they want it, if I have it. If that's okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that.
He said 550.
I think he said 554, 559, something approximately. It'll come out of grant funds, and then we may get reimbursed, or the grant may get reimbursed under the grant deal, which is all good.
I'll make a motion to allow Doris to purchase a laptop out of the grant fund.
I'll second motion.
It's been moved and seconded. We allow Doris to purchase a laptop out of the grant fund. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Painless one.
Pretty much.
You ain't ready to keep him silver? Him? Oh, okay.
He wanted me to come up with him.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We still need to decide about the newspaper today.
Yes. That was the plan.
I have the renewal for the program. They do the fertilizer and stuff. Do we want to renew that? Think about it. Doesn't have to be done today.
Well, you want to discuss that?
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I think if we got
You got something else?
I didn't know if you'd want to hand it
I think we
in.
need to see what we got as far as applications.
Yeah, we'll have to decide that today. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay.
I think we
I got lots
see
more.
if we can hire them and see if they can take care of it. Person.
I brought Regine so she could kind of explain some of the changes that are taking place with the receiving and then transmitting the storm warnings.
Oh, good for you.
Well, I did some checking first with Barton County and some of the surrounding counties, and they don't use anything different basically than what we do. They have the weather phone, which goes directly to Dodge City. They can use it, and it doesn't cost anything. They have a weather radio, which we don't have down there. But this new switch that they put in through KBI, they said that now this system passes weather text straight from the National Ocean, NOAA, straight to the law enforcement agency, telecommunications. It doesn't go through any satellites or anything now. It goes straight to us from Dodge City. And there's several solutions. I mean, if you want it quicker, we use the Dodge City one, which Barton County uses it. And we have the same system that they do. We can use it. I don't know how come ours don't get out any faster than Barton County does. Unless, you know, there's not any attention being paid.
That's interesting.
I think I read in the paper, didn't the Dodge City's upgrading their system here just recently? So it's supposed to have been,
Yeah.
they had some, they have been having a little problem with it, so they're supposed to upgrade. It's supposed to be a lot more.
Well, see, in this new switch that we put in, like I say here, we didn't put it in, KBI put it in. The KC just put it in. And it's up and running now.
Oh, this has just occurred?
Yeah, yeah. It's up and running. It's just been going for about maybe a month. The internet's faster, and it said that this allows the use of more current technology, providing us with more standardized formatting of weather messages received via the KCGIS network. Or we have WeatherTap, but it costs $7.99 a month. And I took a 6-week trial period on it, and it's not too bad to use. It wouldn't be too bad. But like I say, it costs you. And then NextTech has a total notified, which is $2,000 a year, and they email everybody. But I don't see why we have to pay for anything, because, you know, NOAA's updated. We'll just have to pay a little bit more attention when we're down there
Is that what you think the problem is? You're way more familiar with this than I am.
sometimes.
So they did away with the teletype? They still use the teletype?
Oh, no, yeah, they still use the teletype. It
Okay.
still comes in to our system.
Mhm.
See, we've got the second computer there that we can get into the NOAA. And it prints about the same thing that our law enforcement computer does. And it doesn't get to us any faster or anything, but Barton County and Reno County use the same thing,
Okay.
you know.
What might be interesting is, you know, the advantage of that $2,000 system, which I'm not advocating going that direction, but we do presently have, emergency service has a similar system to that, but we just don't have as many subscribers. And I had looked into that, but the problem was if you had 4,000 people, it'd be a real workload for one person to keep it up to date all the time.
Well, we don't do it.
Correct. But what I'm kind of leading into is, I don't know how many people, the problem is, even a warning system doesn't protect our citizens that are outside the hearing of that warning alarm. So it'd be interesting to know if we had some folks like up in the areas where maybe they weren't close to an alarm, if that number wasn't an extremely great number, then it might be possible to add them onto like the ADT system, which is internet-based, and a dispatcher could pull it up. It would be another job for them to do, but they could send out the message via, it goes out text, it text to voice, and it goes out to their internet. So
Maybe not all people's got, but probably maybe the older population don't have internet in their houses.
Right, but it goes to their phone.
So it goes right to their phone.
Yeah.
Not
Cell
if
phones.
they don't
Cell
have
phone
cell
or
phone.
landline.
Yes, either one.
It goes landline to
And
the,
that would, I'm confused.
We're presently subscribing to that. I
You
use
are?
that for my emergency folks.
And you're suggesting we could somehow do that?
Well, I'm suggesting that we could look into it and make sure that, the problem would be is if we had so many people, then the cost would go up, because it costs per person to be on that. But if it wasn't a great number, then it might be a manageable thing. I had even, advocated maybe possibly looking into charging them, but even that'd be kind of a nightmare
I was
to
just gonna
send out
suggest
bills for
that.
$2.50. I guess you could charge them for 4 years or something and charge them $10, but
What did you charge them so much a year? If you want to subscribe, that's. I love that. shit.
Requisition.
Love that chair.
Oh, it was fine when I had it.
No, this is mine.
What's this?
He switched
I
back.
switch.
But I
His
think
is broke, so he'll want to switch back with you.
I'm not even sure how to put something out to the folks to get a interest. We put it in the paper and just,
But is that something that you could put on the website, and if people wanted it, they could just sign up themselves? So it's like a self,
this one isn't built that way. There's another one, there's a
if you didn't have
various kinds out
internet,
there.
you could help those people, but.
Yeah, there's various kinds out there. There's one out there that, and I think it's very inexpensive, or it might even be free, I don't know, but Doug was using it for a bit over there, but it doesn't switch it over to voice, and I think for some of the folks that are not as technical geared, the
Right.
voice is good.
You always have to,
Yeah,
accommodate those people that.
so that pretty much gets everybody. At least it makes it available to everybody if it can convert it into audio and you can just send a message out to them. And the only time that you'd have a problem with that system, it's not a fail-safe system. The only time you'd have a problem is if one of the towers went down and you lost your phone system. Most of the time, if you're warning somebody before the storm, hopefully you've warned them before the storm, and it didn't take down a tower. Later on in the event, you're possibly going to be disabled with that system if it would take your tower.
Well, none of them are going to be perfect.
No.
But I don't know, that's.
I'll do some, this is great great news here. That's why I wanted Regine to share that with you, and that'll solve at least the delay. It won't solve the problem of somebody being isolated far away from the
No,
storm.
that's not what the complaint was about. I mean, that's all,
Sure.
we've all lived with that our whole lives.
Sure.
And not that, you know, if the technology exists that we can address that, I wouldn't support it. But I want to make sure that this issue is taken care of.
This weather tap here, this explains, this is what I got off the internet, it explains what you can do with that weather tap, and it's $7.99 a month. And they used it, and it can take you right to your doorstep, just exactly where the storm's hitting, if you want to read that information.
That, you know, I haven't read it, Regine, but for $7.97 a month, I mean, that seems like almost a no-brainer. I mean, even, I'll pay for it out of emergency management budget if you'd like me to. And I'll get you a weather radio too.
See, we can get a weather phone for nothing through Dodge City.
Well, let's
That's
get one
what,
of those.
that's what.
Well, that answers the question right there. I mean, if we get a phone, because I think, you know, the
Forget
whole
the
thing
teletype.
is the delay.
Yes,
from
and
time
recognize
it's
the
issued
teletype,
till
but
time
see,
it
I
goes
mean,
out to
if
the
you
county.
had a phone right there, it'd be more responsive, I think.
So how does the phone work? Does it ring? And
Oh,
then
yeah.
and you
They'll
have to
call
answer
you.
it,
It's straight through.
so it forces you to say, to know that there's a problem.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
it'll
sounds
ring
like the best
through.
approach
Don't you
for
think
that.
that'd be a lot, I mean, you know, secure, something like that?
Do you have to buy that, Regine? Oh, let's get that.
It sounds like some of the
goes to,
problem is based inattentive or whatever, being distracted.
We do have that sometimes.
And, which I can understand.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so this would eliminate that, is that what you're telling me?
Well,
Or at
the
least
phone would ring
enhance it
and Dodge City could call us directly.
and say there's a,
I kinda like that idea.
Let's go with the weather tap. I'll pay for that out of my budget. I'll get your weather radio and as the commissioner said, let's go ahead and get the phone. Sounds great. Thank you.
sounds like between those three things, we ought to be able to.
And I'll look into that other thing, because it's still an option out there.
I think
that-
that's pretty exciting, and I don't know, I don't think that it's something we need to provide for free if it's gonna cost us a lot of money, but having the public, having that ability and giving them the option.
Per person isn't
It could
real expensive.
It couldn't cost very much.
It's just if everybody wanted to be on it, then it would be.
It's ADT.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
So we're gonna order the phone today.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'll call them.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
If I could ask for an executive session for 10 minutes, that's about non-elected personnel.
I think those should be, go to executive session for 10 minutes for non-elected personnel.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, we'll go into executive session for 10 minutes for non-elected. All in favor, say
Aye.
And different stuff for PA versus an RN, but I tell you, RNs and VAs are ridiculous. A lot of money some places, a lot of money.
Okay, I'll make the motion, recommendation for salary increase for Misty Blakesley from range 6, step 4 to range 6, step 5. TJ Rockenbaugh, range 6, step 4 to range 6, step 5. Dr. Nick Loeffler, range 5, step 2 to range 6, step 3.
I second.
Effective January 1.
Are they all effective January?
All of them effective January.
Yes, January 1.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, we have 3 wage increases, you want me to repeat them? All in favor, say aye.
Thank you. We're just kind of moving along on the office out there, trying to keep you up to date. If you have any, and I got this kind of lead from Chairman Dunn, but I'd also had the Leavenworth resident do some work for me too when I was there. But I hadn't had them build any furniture, and they do a great job.
They do.
We bought a couple desks from them, and anybody that's really in any other, I don't know if they sell to personal, but any of the other departments that are interested in or needing some, they might want to look at them and come out to the office and take a look at them we're kind of moving along. We're doing a fair amount of the work ourselves out there, tearing up the tile. Jeff is laying back the tile, but we're tearing it all up and getting it all prepared for him. And so we're just kind of moving one office at a time and creeping along. And I'll get out of that other office whenever you need me to, because I can just set up and back at that
Just
other
wait
one.
till you're ready.
Yeah, but you're working on it.
Can you use those privacy screens?
No,
No?
no. We looked at them and then we went, Nick and I put the desk systems together yesterday, and they're really not needed out there. So,
I didn't know if you wanted
yeah,
to screen
I
off.
thought I was going to use one of them, but the way we set the desk up, Misty's, which it really needed it bad for just privacy. You couldn't just walk in and look over her desk. You should be able to do that. And we've got it set up now that she's facing, her computer screen will be facing away from anybody that would walk in. We've actually moved her to the back office, which that in itself provides some greater privacy. But everything will be back there, and she'll kind of be off the beaten path with the doorway in between the hallway.
I just thought maybe you could use them, it'd be more of a privacy thing than.
Yeah, we kind of looked at them, and originally I thought we would, and but after we got the desk put up, it looks like it's going to work out pretty good without it. Thank you. Morning.
Hey.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Have a good day.
Did Misty give you about that zoning meeting up at Hudson?
Is the electrical work done?
Yes,
She did. I almost
23rd.
forgot. When is it? 23rd of this month?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's at the community center. She got the notice that went out to evaluation. Because I figured you wanted to be interested because it's on selling ammunition and guns.
Oh, yes. You know what time it is? 23rd?
7:30.
On the 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be
But
there.
if Missy can't find that, I'll bring you another sheet down there.
Okay.
But I give one to you. And
You think you might have one in your office?
Yeah, I do.
I'll just swing down here.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
We got stuff to do.
Yes, I do. I received the stuff for the state fair booth. Is it Carolyn called?
It's Carolyn's call. Don't you agree?
I guess so.
Okay. Marion Alpers was off the Center for Counseling Committee. He's been on it for years. He's 8 years old. And he'll go to the February and March meetings, and then he wants to be done. He had a couple of suggestions for people. Jerry Payton, Ron Walters, or Dennis Stevens. That would be your
In my area.
area.
What is it?
The Center for Counseling and
That
Consultation in Great Bend. We put
Gracie.
McNichols on it.
to
Who were we
replace.
talking about somebody last month about it?
No, go
Last
ahead.
week.
It's the same one that
Jay,
Miller
Rita
was
Miller was
Somebody
talking
get
about
up.
it. Yes, it's the same thing.
Scar.
Marion's been on it for years, and he's wanting to get off. So now you have two people you need to find. But he gave you some suggestions.
Not talking about the zoning board, right?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so this is up to me then.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Like this. Hi, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
How we doing today?
So far, so good.
Okay. Just wanted to kind of touch base with you like I do every year when the ag values come in. One thing that's different about this year, the front page is just kind of a quick little scenario that the state put out to all the counties because our values are actually going up this year. Last couple of years they've actually went down, mostly because of that year going out and the new year coming in. As you can see on the front page, it's 2003 to 2010 now. And then on the next two pages is actually, this will actually be in the newspaper. We put the entire soils in the newspaper and before we mail out the valuation notices. We just don't put in that ag values went down 2% and then went up 6%. We put in the entire thing, and the farmers, the people that have ag land know what they're looking at. As you can see, if you go down to, and I can't tell you a percent of what ag land may go up or down, reason being it depends on what soils is predominantly in the county. But I'm going to give you, if you go down and find soil 5891, that used to be the FA soil, the Ferron, which we have quite a bit of that across the county. As you can see, the first two lines is it gives you comparison from last year to this year. The 2012 per acre price will be $261 an acre. Last year's $248 an acre. If you go over to the irrigated, all the way over to the orange, the 2012 will be $301 an acre. Last year's $285 an acre. So we're going to have a lot more questions, and you guys might even get some phone calls about the ag land this year where we haven't in the past on there. The grassland's still going down a little bit, mostly because of the expenses on the pasture, and that's really the whole thing is expenses. It's still outweighing the cash yield on there. I'm going to be on the, I'm going to sit on the state's ag committee this year. But there's one thing that I'd like to address is that cap rate that's locked. It doesn't exceed one way or the other. If we would release that, then we would also see the ag land going the way it should be going upward also. Now remember, the ag land has nothing to do with what it sells for, if anybody asks you. There's no correlation between what the land's selling for today compared to what the prices are.
But it does correlate with commodity prices. That's one of the factors in that.
The commodity prices, but the market value of the land, there's no market study that goes into the land values.
As opposed to like a house. Is that?
That's right. That's
homes
right.
are still affected by.
That's correct. That's correct.
But what you're saying here is that this is an increase because we dropped a year where commodity prices were low, and we assumed a year where they were higher.
That's right. And it's an 8-year average.
It's an 8-year average,
yeah.
And that's just one of the things that affects the
one
value.
of many complicated things.
Yeah, which
right.
you didn't have time to explain to me.
But really, that page right there would explain a lot to most people.
Okay.
And that's why I wanted you to have it, because when ag values go up, you guys do start getting phone calls.
But you don't have any idea of a percentage or anything
No.
like that? In other words, how's this going to affect our valuation?
No, not right now. And also, if you go down to soil 5909 and 5910, that was the Naron fine sandy loam. That is the predominant soil over the entire county. That has the most acres in it in the county. And so, as you can see, those two went up. Soil type 5910 went from $255 an acre to $267 an acre. So we're going to see quite a bit. You know, we're going to see an increase. I just don't know what percent. Like that. So, just wanted to let you know where we're at anyway. And these values are pretty close to where we were back in 2009. That'll give you a little more information. They went down so much that just by going up this year would be a comparison of 2009 values. And I don't want to give you too much stuff, but that gives you an idea anyway. Valuation notices will go out February 24th. I'm not going to get an extension from the state this year. Everything is going pretty good with Orion, and I'm getting the hang of the system a little bit better now. But they go out February 24th, the valuation notices. When I was talking to Steve, we do have a zoning board meeting up at the community center in Hudson. It's a conditional use, and it's on selling firearms and ammunition. On a conditional use, the zoning commission does not refer that back to the commissioners. They'll make that decision on a conditional use hearing. And then what I'll do is bring that to you and let you know what they did. Everything else besides the conditional use comes to the commissioners for the final decision.
This is in the city limits.
And that's why we're going to the community center.
This is the first time we've actually.
That's correct. That's correct.
I wonder if maybe we couldn't revisit that idea with Seward and Grady.
To reoffer. Okay.
At some point. It's a pretty good tool for those little communities that don't really have much, they just don't have any enforcement power. Has it worked okay with them?
Yes.
Have they been
Yes.
happy?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
And that's next week?
Monday night, the 23rd, at 7:30. We had to go to 7:30 because they have their hamburger feed on Monday night, so we backed it up to 7:30. Because they use the community center also for that. So after that, then I'll bring let you know what they did anyway.
Okay.
All right, that's all I have. You guys have anything for me?
Well, just so these guys have a little heads up on what we were talking about
Okay.
next week, I was visiting with Carl. Well, primarily we were visiting about the oil valuations, meeting the topic we're gonna have next week, and I was trying to get more information, get my head around it. Carl's gonna try to get some more numbers together, but, this is a summary of the valuations for the county. Royalty interest and working interest, and don't pay any attention to my scratching because I didn't know what I was doing, but you can see the valuation difference. When I first looked at it, oh well, the working interest is considerably higher. In reality, this is 1/8 and this is 7/8, so that number should be more like those numbers in valuation. And what I'm trying to determine is just how much, wealth is out there. I need something to start from. We need something to start from as far as what we're looking at. What I was discussing with Carl, and the point that I'm very much aware of is, the exemptions, the purpose of the exemption was good in its concept. But it was made when oil was $8 a barrel, and these leases were definitely being shut in. I'm not in any way proposing that we tax these wells at their full appraised value. But we need to receive a little more from it. And what I'm suggesting is that they pay as much as the royalty interest, and I'm trying to get some figures together to see where that would put us, where we would land. And that's an oversimplification. I realize the process isn't going to be that simple, but it would give us an idea. I think the working interest and the royalty interest should at least be paying the same amount. Why is the royalty owner paying the whole tax burden? And trying to get some numbers together to see where that would put us, see how much money that would generate, and I know that wouldn't be such a huge burden on these little leases that it would force them out of business. A well that's now paying $150, if it has to pay $500 or $600, it isn't going to be the difference between that and But I also realize we can't assess it and charge a tax of $4,000 or $5,000 for it. So I'm just trying to get some numbers together for the point of discussion. This is the primary thing, and I want you guys to be aware of it. Carl's going to help us with that a little more, and we'll talk about it next week before we go to the meeting. Hopefully, so that we can have some idea of where we're at. That's the main thing that I was.
Was this the same thing that Barton County was trying to do in Reno County?
Reno County,
Started
probably 4 years
couple-
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I was telling Roger, it's going to take probably the Commissioners Association, because the appraisers actually tried it before Reno County tried it. And it's you're going to go up against the, one thing that's hard is once the state exempts something, and this is, if I'm not mistaken, an election year, it's going to be hard to find anybody to take this on for you. Even because commissioners are elected too, and it's just hard to get things back on the tax roll. But do I think it should be? Yes. I mean, that five barrel exemption for low production is necessary to keep them going, but not when it's at $100 a barrel. The exemption should probably kick in if the price of oil would get down to say like $45 a barrel or something of that nature. Then that at least would kick in for that tax year, the next tax year, because you you couldn't set the values by June 15th, and then in September, the price per barrel goes under $45, you can't exempt it that year, because you've already did your budgets and your valuation. You would have to kick in the following year. It'd always be a year behind. But it'll be tough. But it should probably be addressed again. It's just gonna take an awful big group to get behind. And like Roger was saying too, is you gotta get counties behind you that don't have oil and gas. And that's what's hard, you know, is it takes the quantity, and if they don't get their revenue from that, they're not that worried about it. You know, same way with zoning, if it's not in your backyard, you're not worried about it.
I've asked Carl to come to the meeting.
I'm gonna try to get there. But we're trying to get you some stuff together. We're trying to get you a copy of the statute maybe to pass out, and that'd be the one that you'd be fighting against then. So, okay. But it'd be great. You would.
Did KAC ever, or did appraisers submit legislation on that ever?
Well, it never really got that far.
It never got that far.
Because there was too much opposition. There was a handful of us counties out here that wanted it. And like I said, the bigger counties didn't want to address it. They don't back you. If we want something out here, and I say out here is out west, is they don't necessarily back you because they don't have any.
You're gonna need to find the legislator that'll take it. Yeah.
It's going to be and like I said, this is election year.
Yeah. Well, it'd probably be too late to get anything submitted this year anyway, but.
But even if you're addressing it.
Right.
And people know it, then that's time to throw somebody else in.
Well, I appreciate if you kept me in the loop. I am on the legislative committee for treasurers, so we meet once a month.
Okay. You know, one other thing that we didn't talk about that, you know, we might even have to, the Court of Tax Appeals might not even want this, because as of right now, every application that's filed to the Court of Tax Appeals to get the exemption, the docket order, it costs $400, so they make $400 every time there's an application filed. So the Tax Appeals is making revenue money off of our losing because of exemptions. We don't get any of that. The $400 application fee goes right to the Court of Tax Appeals. I thought about that after we talked. There might be another fight that we fight. Is because they get a lot of revenue from that.
Well, if I'm going to pick a fight, I'm going to pick.
You're picking a good one. But you're picking it for a good cause, though. And so I commend you guys on that. So, all right. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Lisa, what have you done?
Oh, nothing big. I got the hospital's financials. They're sending me them monthly. So I printed it out. First page, I really don't, oh, the left graph looks like it shows private pay, outstanding, commercial. And the right graph shows the aged accounts. And the percentage. So I thought that was a real good graph.
So the private pay's got $224,000. They are paying $182,000 over 90 days. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if this reflects, I'm just thinking back on some of the numbers they were throwing around, you know, where they were talking about writing off like $600,000. I wonder if this reflects reflects that or not. I'm assuming it does, because
Did, you know,
an AR 500,
everybody had adjusted their account receivables.
I believe they did something about we were holding a whole bunch of checks and they voided them and re-entered them into the accounts.
So I've got receivables, not payables.
Yeah. I was in the accounts payables. I don't know, I thought the write-off had already gone through on the accounts receivables before I even got on there.
it looks like it does based on this chart.
I thought they had a lot larger figure than that, did it?
Yeah.
It was up there, about,
We were running close to $1 million.
that's what I thought, so now they have adjusted them here, so these are ones that's.
The one thing you will
I
note,
guess it would be, but it says 180 days plus, so that can be for then on, but I'm wondering if they didn't adjust it pretty close down to that. But some of those obviously were for a year or more. And that would be a much higher percentage if it's $500,000 in that.
Yeah, that's a lot bigger figure than that, when it first come up here.
So I'm assuming that they assume they can
I think these are collectible then,
at
maybe.
least a certain percentage of this, yeah. Which 90 to 180 days is half of it. Which would help a lot. Now, if I understood what we were discussing last week correctly, maybe this isn't the time to bring it up. If they would, for example, this is just one example, but they would collect a large percentage of this accounts receivable and not need these monies that we're giving them, how would that work?
They would just pay it back.
Pay it back to often.
Yeah, they can pay back that no fund.
That way they can retire their own, or,
Yeah, they don't have to use the full 40 years.
so they can retire, no funds out of their own profits, so put 500%.
Well, how does that affect us in our budget making? I mean, how do we know?
We're gonna have to budget for it regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
We
have
can't
budget.
guarantee that they're gonna do
It
it.
wouldn't affect our budget until the year after we actually would receive
But they get,
the
every year
invoice.
they have to pay it back, it's just a reduction of what we fund each year.
The year after.
Right, we do, yeah.
Yeah.
So the first year, for example, we would add the 2 mills, because that would be the part of it we were gonna pay off. And then if we got monies, the next year, we wouldn't necessarily have to add the 2
We
mills.
just lower their amount or set to put the
You'd
work
either
in.
take it off the end,
Or, yeah.
or I don't know how that was. To me, I would think you would take it off the end because you'd want to get it.
You wanna get it
Probably
paid off as quick as you can.
Overly optimistic, but I'm just curious how it works.
2 mils, I think, would be real.
But you know what, Roger, I've never done no fund warrant, so this is a
None
new
of us
game
have, so.
to me too. So it's gonna be a learning curve for all of us.
Okay.
And the bookkeeping part of it and all of
But that's what I kind of understood them to say, is that if they got, their monies can come from another thing, increased revenue, more lower expenses. If they
Right.
didn't need it,
yes.
it would come back to the county first. They wouldn't be putting it in a special fund or
Reserve.
something like a reserve. Is that?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
anything that, by law, I understand, anything that the hospital makes above and beyond has to go immediately to paying off the
That's what I
no
thought.
fund warrant.
That's kind of my question.
And you'll notice on page 3 of that, I didn't get a copy with the graph on it, but on page 3 you'll notice it reflects the significantly reduced salaries. The savings on that almost alone will have, well, it will have a significant impact on the overall amount of money that's used.
Salary.
Was that
Current month.
Line 21 under liabilities.
129 to 83.
It's 46,000 a month, that's roughly 500,000 in some, a year. just that one change.
Accounts payable blew up, hopefully they'll get those paid though, and get that out of there, yeah.
That's where those checks that they've been sitting on came in.
Finally, they showed up.
Well, they've been cut and set there.
I know what they did.
But yeah,
Well, that's all I have.
That's interesting.
They did give me a copy of this last month, and I don't know if I brought it to you or not. Anita, did you bring it? Did I have you bring it to them?
I think we did.
But if they asked me in the email, are you giving these to the commissioners? And I thought, I don't know if I did last month, but I told them I would be sure to bring them to you every month when they send them to me. They're sending them to me by email now instead of by mail, so. And then I just put a copy in my file.
it's my understanding
Do you
that
forward
Todd
it?
is going to come over once a month and,
I will.
You might forward a copy.
Pardon?
it's my understanding Todd is going to come over once a month and bring the financial data to the commissioners, is what I understood from our meeting at the hospital board last night, that he'll come over and give you guys a report every month.
That's great.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, whatever. You get it twice then maybe.
At least we'll be seeing, let's have a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
get familiar with
That's good.
good to communicate. Thanks, Lisa. Anything else? Anybody out there? Okay.
This is the yearly request we get from the Southwest Kansas Area Agency on Aging. They ask for $800 a year. We've been doing it.
800?
It says right here. We've been doing it for the past several years.
Area on Aging. What was this one up here?
That's different.
Counts, I know, I'm trying to get these in my head.
You have to
Center
find
for
two
Counseling.
bodies to fill that.
Center for Counseling.
Right, that's in Great Bend.
That's the mental health.
Right.
Mental health. This is the area aging. And what does that mean? What do they do?
I have no idea.
You have any idea?
Yeah, let me think.
'Cause I'm definitely qualified for that.
Is
I feel
it
like I
the
am.
seniors or?
It's
Yeah.
They work with
it's
the
separate
What's the senior
from.
centers?
Well, I don't know what
And
they
this is
do.
older residents and low-income families from your county utilized in 2011.
This doesn't support like home hospice or things
No.
like that, does it? It's not.
No, I think it didn't have,
Do you know?
Yes,
It's home
Okay.
care.
Hold it.
I know a lot about them anyway.
Well, tell us please, enlighten us.
They work with all of the senior centers. They help get information to the senior centers and provide services for seniors, things like help with their taxes, stuff like that. They also go through and evaluate all the senior centers. That's where you'll occasionally see, once a year they put out what they call focal points for the different senior centers. They go in and evaluate how they're interacting with the communities, and then you have to have so many points to become a focal center. But they do a lot of different things. They have a program for people 55 and older.
Point at you.
I pointed directly at him because they have one for retraining people and elderly.
are they a source for the handicap items like the wheelchairs too? Is that part of their?
No, that's primarily just the Shepherd
Just
Center
just
that
Shepherd
does
Center.
that, both here and in Stafford.
They do Meals on Wheels.
No, we don't do, the Meals on Wheels is through the WIT Center.
But
But they support Meals on Wheels?
They,
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Okay.
The home home delivered meals, 8,154 at $5.40 a meal. Maxville, 3437, St. John, 2589, and Stafford is 6872.
We've been supported for years,
Yeah.
years.
$800 seems pretty reasonable.
It's not.
Do they get other revenue?
Yeah, they get a total of 81,000.
Yeah, they get state, they get state,
Okay.
sure state, that federal program. How much is it?
800.
800 even? I make a motion, we, $800 to the Southwest Kansas of AG.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, we give $800 to the Southwest Kansas Area Agency. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Do I need to sign something?
Okay.
Tax correction. Do we have tax corrections today?
Yes, right here. You need to decide about your official paper.
Okay.
I've got your resolution for your no fund warrant here.
This way to look.
Plus 30,
I'll
plus
give you
300,
executive
minus
session
30,
for all elected
plus
for about
1,000.
15 minutes.
Doesn't have anything to do with the no fund warrants, right? We're gonna, all right, we'll do this, we can go into executive
Do
session.
you need something?
I'm just with the paper taking pictures. Terry's setting me up here.
She's taking a class in photography.
Okay, all right, I do know.
Tax.
All right, cool.
And, so let's do this.
You need to decide about your paper.
Yeah, let's take care of that.
Let's take care of that one first.
And the tax thing, let's take care of that first.
If I take care of this, I make a motion, we approve the tax roll
Okay.
corrections.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, we approve tax roll corrections, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, now your paper.
Aye.
Gotcha. You gotta sign those. But not right now, let's do the paper next. No, don't.
I'll get all. All right.
I'm fine, you're the one making chaos of my meeting. There.
What, hurting my feeling? Good. Does that?
You had the rates on those too, didn't you?
20.
Yes, I
Oh, we're
did.
gonna deal with this one too.
Somewhere.
St. John quoted.
And this, do we need to do this? No,
What?
I'm asking you.
What?
We're gonna deal with this and this too?
This is what I want to discuss partly, and,
This?
no, you need to read
got enough
those two,
pictures?
that's not my, for my
Have a good day.
executive, but that's part of it.
That's a given. I mean, we have to get it covered.
St. John
So
News
we need
quoted,
to do that today.
yeah. 29 for St. John News and 28 for Courier. Per line. So they're pretty, I mean, they're,
Basically the same.
yeah. But coverage, I don't know. As far as who covers more of it, I don't have any idea.
Well, Stafford had it for years and years. That's for, we're doing just barely got it a couple of years ago. That Stafford had it for probably, as long as I recall.
Yeah, they did. I've been here a long time.
Well, at least the Courier's owned by local people, where St. John News is.
Yeah, that was also the issue before.
And
Yeah.
I
But
sent out
that's
an
why they had
email,
Stafford had for all the years. But I mean, still, you got
I
people
sent out an
employed here.
email wanting opinions from departments and got no response, so I don't think it matters to any of us.
Did what now?
I sent out an email wanting feedback and comments.
My only complaint is that, that, like that, sometimes they blow it up too big,
I know they have a problem, they want to make it legible, but I mean, one of mine that they did, I didn't, when I seen it in the paper, it
No,
was,
as far as the tax rolls.
What it was.
it was my delinquent.
You could read it.
And that cost a lot of that, I mean.
And also, people complain, you get too small, they can't read it.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, I've had people say, well, what's put in it for, you can't
You
even
have
read it.
something in the paper that takes this much space and something that takes this
I
much.
understand cost wise too, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's been too small, which you can't
Yes.
actually, they can't read it, most people
If we
don't.
pay the same per line, that means if you get more words in a line, it costs you less. I understand
If you
that.
make it shorter and smaller, and then you get more words per line.
But yeah,
I don't
you
have a
gotta,
preference, guys.
you gotta, it's gotta be legible.
Yeah,
That-
otherwise you're.
And I agree with that. But, I just wish they would've ran that by me first before that. But,
Have you talked to them?
yeah,
And
they run it by me first now.
they what?
They run the publications by me first.
Good idea.
Well, it does cover a lot, I mean, of course, I'm not familiar, I haven't seen what the other covers, but this covers pretty well Maxville, St. John, and Stafford, Florida. It covers all three and the other areas around too, quite a bit. That's good coverage for us. Community events and stuff like that. Your phone, your,
So that's, I have no preference.
okay,
I mean,
okay, yeah, I'll make a motion to
are
make
we
sense.
talking about huge amounts of money?
No,
Well, the one thing that somebody pointed
I
out.
said we went
it
years.
alternated or something
yeah, well, I
like that.
think it best that it went years and years, it went, because it said it was the ownership over there, but you look at, yes, it's not owned locally, but it still employs people, you know, and, it's, how much in each of that is, I don't,
What if we went like 2 years alternate every,
yeah,
You still have to appoint him every year.
okay.
We
but
have to
that-
do this resolution every year.
well,
You can do it however you want to do it. I mean, we can't do that resolution for 2 years. We need to do one every.
well, every year, yeah, it's done every year.
I see.
So are you motioning something?
Yeah,
Like still thinking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't care. If it was a huge amount of money, then I would go with
right,
the lesser bid.
but this pretty
And
near
we
same now.
we can give it one more year and see what it, you know, I know we've had some problems with them, of getting them published on time, so I guess it's fair warning.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay,
I made the motion,
I'll second it.
Go with what?
St. John News.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we go with St. John News as the official paper. No discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Motion carried.
Sign that.
They all need to sign this, right?
Yep, that's a resolution.
Okay.
Okay, now we need to reappoint Rick Hunley and Rule Foot to your hospital board.
It says for a 3-year term, which,
Well, that's what the
Which,
terms are.
that's what the term is, they can always resign at any time.
Right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Rick Hunley and Rolf to the hospital board.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, we reappoint Rick Hunley, Real Foot to the hospital board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Did we actually officially put my mom on the Central Prairie?
Yep.
Yep.
Are you gonna try to find the other people, or do I take that off?
I give up. I guess unless Ron maybe has some ideas. The people that would serve on this.
That's the RC&D?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Look,
Would you toss it around a little bit before we totally take it off our agenda? They want another 3 people from Stafford County. And,
what exactly do they do again? Besides the honor
That's the $1 million
flights?
question.
the honor flights is the only thing I'm familiar with, but they do a lot more than that.
I think what he's wanting is just more representation from Stafford County, because I think as far as the members on that board,
We're gonna do this.
Stafford
before
County is
we
a
do
minority.
executive
I
session.
mean,
This is
it
one of
comes to
these
several
things.
counties, but
No.
I know in their,
Well,
seemed like the last couple of years, the biggest issue is the honor flights, but they do
this is just considered.
with rural fire and,
Oh, that's right, they did the,
Shoot-back will be up here in-
but it's something
Well, I
about
think
this,
let's wait.
through the
He may be
USDA
here.
is their
Yeah, let's
funding,
wait and
but
see.
they lost a lot of their funding.
Because we just got this email.
They lost the director,
This
who
kind of
is now
one guy.
taking another job over in Ellsworth rather than being in Great Bend.
I'd rather keep it here.
And,
That's kind of what I was wondering, if there was some more discussion.
do they do
I'll see
something
if
about
he's
the
here.
deer or meat, or is that another agency?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Feeding the poor, I don't know, we've got
Do
too
you want to
many
do that now?
Yeah.
committees, organizations, to keep them all straight. I think that's Richard Foster's goal, is to have more people, to create more noise, you know, in Stafford County. Because this encompasses.
So before we pull it off our
County.
agenda, maybe you can put the word out and get it.
oh, I'll talk it up and see if I can find somebody.
I asked Mom to do the same, but problem is, a lot of her friends are moving out of county and things like that. Tornadoes blowing them away. Yeah, we're just getting old. We already did the tax rules.
You
But
gotta
I have to
sign.
sign those.
You
All
sign.
right.
Okay, I would like 15 minutes for all that.
20?
20 minutes would be great, yeah.
Let's do it.
I make the motion, we go into 20-minute executive session to discuss non-elected personnel.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for 20 minutes for non-executive personnel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
How entertaining I've been.
They don't.
Oh, yes, yes.
Executive session, okay,
Yes.
let's go back.
Yes, we need to pass this resolution.
Right, I understand that.
And we need to pass the payroll, the proposal to make the payroll either direct deposit or deposit.
Okay, let's do the direct
Or
deposit
both.
one first.
Yeah, or both, whatever you want. Okay.
Payroll funds, let's deal with that.
Want to do it, you want me to- To make all payroll funds distributed by electronic means only, either by direct deposit or by a bank card deposit.
I second the motion.
The way I read it.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded, do we? Any more discussion? Sure, you want me to repeat that?
Yep.
All right. Proposal to make all payroll funds dispersed by electronic means only. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, the resolution for your no fund warrants.
Yes. Joe, would you like to
We hired
enlighten us?
Kevin Cowell.
Kevin Cowan of the firm of Gilmore and Bell.
To handle this.
I've used Kevin before on things like temporary notes and whatnot because you gotta have magic words to comply with your two big Securities and Exchange Acts of 33 and 34. Because in theory, these notes are actually securities. Or actually, these no fund warrants are securities.
Yeah, you said local banks are interested.
Local banks are very much interested in purchasing. It's just a question of negotiating the interest rate, which, you know, obviously we have to wait at least 60 days. And if there's a protest petition, well, we have to wait longer, so. But there's 2 banks here.
How are these,
Plus Hudson's very
are
much.
they bid on these rates, or
County banks now.
how are the rates set? Are they bid on the rates, or do you have any idea, or do they come up with rates, say if they're interested, like do on bond issue, they have a certain rate on bond issue or something?
This is going to be very much akin to the rate on like a general obligation bond.
Yeah, okay. It'd be,
Which is what?
We'll have to pull up the Wall Street Journal and see. Because these are, like I say, akin to a general obligation bond because they have the full faith and credit of the County of Stafford behind them. Unlike, say, an IRB, which is, to my way of thinking,
revenue bond, yeah.
junk bond. I've seen more IRBs go by the wayside.
Well, the only question I had was already answered as far as how this works, so.
And basically, we already approved this, right, last meeting. So what do we need to do this
All
time?
we have to do is pass the resolution. All right, I'll make the motion, we adopt resolution R-2112-4.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded, we adopt resolution R-2012-4. Further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
And
carried.
there are 3 copies that, or 4 copies actually, I need all 4 of them signed.
I have one, JD has one,
You
Roger
have
has
2.
one.
You have 2?
Well, if I do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I do have.
Yep.
All right.
So if it, I mean, we got a long ways to go, but local banks are interested, we put that out for bid or something, or?
Well, we all sit down, there's
We got a long ways to get to that point.
the local bank, I'm no expert in banking, but I believe there's a Community Reinvestment Act where they're supposed to, have so much of their holdings and local instruments,
I got 2.
debt obligations.
All these are signed.
I did have another question.
All right, there's number 4.
Thank you.
Well, the interest, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. The interest that these notes accumulate, is that held against the hospital, or is that some other?
If the hospital miraculously shows an operating profit, that's where the money will come from first,
And the interest is what I'm
Yeah,
asking? Okay. So everything's put against the hospital, the interest of.
But if the hospital does not show an operating profit, then of course, we're gonna pay back, each year's interest plus a quarter of the principal. Just a very straightforward 4-year amortization.
With tax dollars.
Yeah.
It's the obligation of the hospital if they can pay.
Yeah,
Yes, well, this is what they're
But we
proposing,
have-
say they can, so let's see.
Optimism's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
That's good.
We gotta have something. Okay, Anita, what else? We need to address. We've done that.
Cost of
Cost of living, we'll do that
Possibly, we can talk about next week.
next week.
Did you need these?
You got these, I think.
I don't know.
Funding show trust.
I think shelter out there. Good.
Seems like we've done a heck of a lot of work in a couple of hours. It's pretty drawing good. Just thinking about something awful for her.
I'm just reading. Okay.
Did you get one of these?
Oh. What do you think?
You wanna go
Unless you
adjourn?
It's up to you.
You got anything recess and wait a little bit.
Do we want to look through these applicants?
You can do that.
Oh, recess.
Recess and look through them. Let's do that, let's recess. Okay, we have a motion for adjournment?
No.
We're adjourned.